When a woman begins the slow, internal process of disconnecting, the world she shares with you doesn't simply shatter. It quietly fades. There is no dramatic confession, no heartfelt conversation where she admits her attraction is waning or that the bond she once described as unbreakable now feels fragile within her. This directness is avoided not because the truth is too painful to say, but because the accountability that follows is too inconvenient to face. Instead of closure, you are offered a season of confusion. The direct path is abandoned for a maze of subtle behavioral shifts and unspoken tests. This is the silent prelude to a goodbye, a period where the relationship is no longer being built, but deconstructed from the inside out, with you as an unwitting participant in its demolition. The driving force behind this indirect withdrawal is a deep-seated desire for self-preservation. The goal is to orchestrate an exit that leaves her conscience clear and places the burden of blame squarely on your shoulders. It is a campaign of narrative control, she begins, almost imperceptibly at first, to craft scenarios and alter her patterns. The warm, consistent person you knew starts to become a source of puzzling coldness and inconsistency. She distorts the reality you both inhabit, not through loud accusations, but through a steady drip of delayed responses, vague excuses, and an emotional atmosphere that grows colder by degrees. You find yourself questioning your own perceptions, wondering if you are being too sensitive, too needy, or if you are imagining the chill in the air. This is the intended effect. These maneuvers are far from random. Yes, they are the calculated, instinctive plays of someone who is emotionally checking out but remains physically present. It is a strategy designed to protect her ego while systematically dismantling the connection. If you are unaware of this pattern, you will inevitably walk right into the trap. You will find yourself apologizing for things you didn't do, trying harder to reignite a flame she has already let die, and ultimately accepting the responsibility for the relationship's failure. You will believe the problem is your inadequacy, when in truth, the fundamental shift occurred within her. The story she tells herself about you, about the relationship, and about her own future has been rewritten. Your actual character and actions become irrelevant. They're merely cast in the new, unflattering role she has assigned to you in her internal narrative, to justify her departure without guilt. Expand Chapter 2 in 500 words, no add heading. When a woman's interest begins to wane, her behavior shifts from connection to strategy. This transition is marked not by a single conversation, but by the deployment of a series of calculated games, designed to create distance, test your resolve, and ultimately justify her emotional exit. These tactics form a recognizable arsenal of withdrawal, each serving to dismantle the relationship piece by piece while keeping her hands seemingly clean. One of the most common and disorienting tactics is the strategic creation of distance, cleverly disguised under the blanket of being busy. In the beginning, she carved out time, her responses were prompt, and her enthusiasm to see you was clear. Now, texts go unanswered for hours, plans become non-committal maybes, and her excuses are sprinkled with phrases like, "I've just got a lot going on right now." Beneath this veneer of a hectic life is a deliberate emotional detachment. The goal is to flip the dynamic. She makes you feel needy and demanding for expecting the baseline level of engagement you once shared, while she positions herself as the independent, overwhelmed party. This game is dangerous because it directly attacks your sense of worth, making you question if you are asking for too much, when in reality, you are simply asking for what was freely given before her feelings changed. Alongside this disappearing act, she may begin to weaponize comparison. These are not outright criticisms, but subtle, seemingly offhand comments. She might mention how a coworker remembered a small detail about her that you forgot, or how a stranger offered a compliment in a way you haven't lately. These observations are far from innocent. They are precision tools used to plant seeds of inadequacy in your mind. She wants you to believe you are falling short, not because you are, but because she needs a tangible justification for her fading attraction. This forces you into a race. You cannot win, constantly trying to overcompensate and prove your value. A desperate chase that only accelerates her loss of respect. Perhaps the most psychologically damaging game is the withdrawal of emotional intimacy while maintaining a physical presence. She still shows up to dates, she still holds your hand in public, and she may even offer a smile. Behind the mask, her heart has checked out. Her kisses feel automatic, her laughter is a half-beat delayed, and her touch lacks its former intention. This is a slow death by 1,000 cuts. It is designed to make you doubt your own instincts, because on the surface, everything is fine. You are slowly starved of genuine connection, left feeling lonely and paranoid, even when she is right beside you. This duality keeps you in a state of limbo, so that when she finally leaves, she can point to all the times she was physically present and claim it was your insecurity that ruined things. Finally, there is the game of provocation. She will subtly pick fights, push your buttons, or become hypercritical of things that never mattered before. The goal is not to resolve a conflict, but to escalate it. She is baiting you to lose your composure, to snap, or to react from a place of insecurity or anger. The moment you do, she has the evidence she needs. She can now tell herself and others that the relationship ended because of your emotional instability, your anger, or your inability to handle conflict. This is the cruelest game of all because it feeds on your genuine care. You argue and defend yourself precisely because you are invested, and she uses that investment as the very reason to walk away, absolving herself of any responsibility for the relationship's end. As the initial tactics of distance and comparison take root, the games often evolve into deeper, more insidious psychological maneuvers. These strategies are less about creating daily friction and more about systematically rewriting the entire history and foundation of the relationship, eroding your sense of reality and self-worth in the process. One of the most profound of these is the rewriting of your shared history. The woman who once spoke glowingly of your connection will begin to reframe the entire narrative. The past is no longer a story of love and shared joy, but is recast as a series of disappointments and unfulfilled promises. She will claim you were never truly there for her, or that you never understood her, effectively erasing the months or years of effort, love, and support you provided. This isn't based on fact. It's a necessary fiction for her conscience. By amplifying the bad and deleting the good, she constructs a past that makes her present detachment seem like an inevitable and justified conclusion, rather than a choice she is making simultaneously. She begins to manipulate the future and your very identity. She will dangle the illusion of a shared tomorrow, casually mentioning trips you'll take or plans you'll make, all while knowing deep down these moments will never arrive. These false future promises are a tool to keep you patient and invested, providing a hope that blinds you to the decaying present. Alongside this, she executes a devastating shift in her standards. The core qualities she once claimed to adore, your ambition, your calm nature, your humor, are suddenly twisted into fatal flaws. Your ambition becomes neglect, your stability becomes boredom, and your passion becomes controlling behavior. This is a psychological batangin that forces you to chase a moving target. You are left trying to reinvent yourself to win back approval for the very traits that initially made her love you. A futile effort that drains your confidence and leaves you perpetually off balance. To solidify her position, she meticulously constructs a victim narrative. She needs to be the one who was wronged, the one who endured, the one who tried everything. This is achieved through the false blame game. She will accuse you of being controlling when you express concern about her distance, or frame you as insecure when you point out her inconsistencies. Your legitimate reactions to her disengagement are weaponized against you as proof of your failings. This strategy is particularly effective because it makes you question your own perception of reality. You start to wonder if you are, in fact, the problem. This self-doubt is the fog that allows her to slip away unnoticed, her own lack of investment safely obscured. The final, and perhaps most calculated, maneuver is the strategic detachment and exit rehearsal. Long before the official breakup, she begins building a parallel life. She invests in new social circles, new hobbies, and new routines from which you are conspicuously excluded. She is emotionally outsourcing, rehearsing what it feels like to live without you, while still enjoying the safety net of your presence. By the time she physically leaves, she has already grieved the relationship and detached in private. This is why her final exit can seem so cold and effortless. For her, the emotional goodbye happened weeks or months ago, leaving you blindsided by a departure you never saw coming because it was rehearsed in plain sight. The true and most lasting damage of these manipulative games is not the finality of the breakup itself, but the profound and disorienting chaos that lingers in its wake. The relationship does not conclude with a clean, painful break, but with a slow, corrosive unraveling that leaves you psychologically scarred. You are not simply left with a broken heart. You are left with a broken compass for your own reality. The aftermath is a tortuous period of uncertainty, where you find yourself endlessly replaying conversations and moments, desperately trying to pinpoint the exact instant everything went wrong. This obsessive retrospection is not a choice. It is the inevitable residue of her tactics. You were forced to navigate a maze where the walls kept shifting, and now that it's over, your mind continues to search for the path you were supposed to take, unable to accept that the maze itself was designed to be unsolvable. The cruelest realization eventually dawns. The relationship did not end the day she walked away. It ended long before, in the silent rehearsals, the gradual withdrawals, and the calculated manipulations, while you, completely unaware, were still faithfully offering your unwavering devotion and energy. The final, devastating blow is the profound sense of injustice. You are left to bleed in the silence she so carefully constructed, grappling with a betrayal that was never openly declared but was methodically executed. While you are shattered, confused, and grieving the loss of a love you believed was real, she has already moved on, her conscience clear, her narrative secure. She exits the battlefield unscathed, portraying herself as the victim who finally escaped, while you are left wounded on the field, accused of causing the very injuries you sustained. This imbalance is the ultimate cruelty of the games. It's not just the loss of the relationship, but the theft of the truth, the perversion of your shared history, and the malicious branding of you as the villain in a story where you were the one who showed up, fought for, and believed in the connection until the very end. The aftermath, therefore, is a battle on two fronts: grieving the person you thought you loved, and simultaneously rebuilding the person you were before her games convinced you that you were the problem. The intricate and painful web of these manipulative games can make you feel like a pawn in someone else's strategy. Yet, the profound truth that emerges from this chaos is that your power was never truly lost, was merely waiting for you to reclaim it. The path to healing and victory does not lie in decoding her behavior or winning her back, but in a fundamental shift in your own perspective. The most potent antidote is a simple, yet difficult, decision to stop playing entirely. Understanding this is the first step, but the decisive action that solidifies your power is the strategic withdrawal of your energy. This is not a manipulative tactic of your own, nor a game of hard to get. It is a conscious, dignified disengagement from a dynamic that is harming you. When you stop chasing, when you cease trying to explain yourself to someone who has already written the script to your failure, when you refuse to react to her provocations, the entire illusion she has constructed begins to crumble. Her games require your participation to survive. They feed on your confusion, your desperation, your need for closure. When you deprive them of that fuel, they wither and die. Her power to control your emotional state vanishes the moment you stop granting her that control. This means you must stop texting for reassurance, stop initiating conversations to clarify mixed signals, and stop planning dates to rekindle a spark that she has already extinguished. You simply step back and focus your energy inward. This act is not about punishing her. It is the ultimate demonstration of self-respect. This process of reclamation leads to a moment of stark clarity. The irony that becomes apparent is that while she may have believed she was executing a clever exit, she was in fact revealing a profound weakness. She lost the opportunity to end things with integrity and honesty. She traded the difficult yet respectful path of direct communication for the cowardly path of manipulation. She may have preserved her ego in the short term, but she sacrificed her own self-respect. In her attempt to avoid being the bad guy, she became the architect of needless emotional trauma. Conversely, you, who fought for the relationship with honesty, emerge with your integrity intact. This realization is liberating. It allows you to see that the one who truly lost was not you, but her. She lost the chance to be with a man of substance, a man who would have built a life with her. By choosing games over truth, she sabotaged not just your relationship, but her own capacity for a genuine, mature connection. The final and most powerful position you can occupy is one of untouchable self-possession. This is a quiet, unshakable confidence that comes from knowing your own worth and refusing to let it be defined by someone else's games. You become unbroken because you realize the games were never a reflection of your inadequacy, but a manifestation of her internal conflict. You become unbothered not because you are devoid of emotion, but because you have chosen to no longer let her past actions dictate your present peace. You become untouchable because you have erected healthy boundaries. Vowing to never again entertain such manipulative dynamics, you learn to trust your instincts implicitly. That gut feeling that told you something was wrong becomes your most reliable guide. You recognize that a healthy relationship is a partnership, not a puzzle. It is built on mutual respect, open communication, and consistent effort, not on a battlefield of psychological warfare. Walking away with this dignity is the ultimate victory. It leaves her with the emptiness she tried to disguise. You, however, walk away with the truth of your own character, hard-earned wisdom, and a refined understanding of what you deserve. You are free to channel your energy into building a life of purpose and genuine connection. The experience, as painful as it was, becomes a forge that tempers your spirit. You win not by getting her back, but by getting yourself back stronger, wiser, and finally untouchable.